Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a super cool tutorial. This is probably one of my favorite placements. I love everything chunky and we have virgin hair right here. Yes. So first I'll show you her inspo. She wanted that like chunky Narcissa Malfoy inspired hair where it kind of goes brown blonde underneath. And here is what we got. So beautiful. I think we nailed it. I am obsessed. She looks so cute with it. And here is what it looked like down in the back, and had to show with the clip up because yeah, I'm just so in love with this. And this is what it looked like with just her half up, half down regular. So let's get into it. First of all, I am going to show you everything. Look at all that hair. She has great density, lots of hair. So first I'm going to go through and spray a little bit of water, and that is going to open up the cuticle of her hair so that I can use my K18 molecular mist right here. Now, this is going to go deep into her hair strand to keep it nice and healthy and start repairing before I even go in with my lightener. It's basically insurance for the hair and it's amazing. I use it in every single video, so if you've watched my videos before, you've definitely seen me use that. So first, I'm gonna get her sectioned out, and now the important part about something like this is making sure that you show your client the sections and that they like what you're doing. So she really wanted to have that when she lifted up her hair for it to be like blonde brown. So she has a little bit of brown that will be by her ears, and then I grabbed more underneath where it goes like 2 on the side, a little gap in the middle. I'm showing her all of the sections in the back and making sure that she likes it before I get started. So sectioning out and making sure that it's exactly what they want is really important. So now that she is all sectioned out and exactly how she wants it, we can get started. As usual, I'm going to do this first section without any cuts at a normal speed so you can see exactly how much time I spend on each section and how I saturate it. Now I have a board behind my foil. It's a vellum board, but you can use any highlighting board. I really like it because when you have something hard to paint on like that, you're just going to get better saturation and you're going to use less product. So I highly recommend using a board when you're painting this much hair. And as always, I don't like to fold my foils when it's a long piece like this because you risk getting that line in the hair. So I am just closing it up with another foil placed on top, nice and straight, and I have it a little bit off the root. I'm leaving it a little bit off the root because that is going to process super quick right next to the scalp. So I'm going to go in at the very end and hit those roots. So I'm doing those really fine sections, saturating really good, and closing it up. I'm using Danger Jones powder lightener, and for this first bowl, I started with 10 volume, and then every bowl that I use, I move my developer up just a little bit. I like to mix small bowls so that the lightener stays fresh. So I'll start with a 10, move up to a 15, and then end on a 20. It is extremely rare that I will go over a 20 volume with lightener. And also, you don't ever want to go over 20 if you're using it on scalp. But you can see how I'm taking these really nice fine sections, really saturating with my lightener, and that board is helping me so much to saturate. And we are almost through this first section. All right, place my foil on top, and now you can see there's that little gap in between those two so that we're gonna have the chunky look when she puts her hair up. And I'm doing the exact same thing on this side that I did over there. So I'm just taking those super fine paper thin sections that you should definitely be able to see through and saturating with my board. It is so important, especially on big projects like this where you're trying to go like white platinum, to take those really thin sections so that you can ensure that even lift. Now, the other thing that I will say even though she has virgin hair, most of the time when you have darker hair like this and longer, thicker hair, the mid to ends are not going to come out as light and platinum as the base and like the first couple inches down from the root. And that is usually because there is some kind of buildup in the hair because it's been on the head for so many years. So there could be hard water buildup, there could be chemical buildup, mineral buildup from oils, natural oils from dirt, anything. So I know that even though I'm taking these really fine sections, that there was most likely going to be a chance that I was going to have to open these foils up and hit those mid to ends again. So always remember that. If they've got really long hair and it's dark, and even though it's virgin, there's a good chance that those ends are not going to lift as light as the base. So be prepared to go through it again. It is something that you can fix, but as long as you are aware of that, you'll be good. But I'm doing the exact same thing now in the front, staying off the root, taking those really nice fine sections and saturating. Definitely sound like a broken record in all of my videos, but saturation is key. And here I am mixing up my next bowl. You can see in the back, I love a fresh bowl of Lightener. You don't want to do too much, really. I think the most powder that I use in a bowl is like 40 grams, maybe 50 if I'm doing something like this where I'm using a lot of Lightener at once, but small bowls are key. And if anybody is interested in what foils I'm using, they are Framar. I like the rolls for long ones like this, obviously, instead of the pop-ups. They're a lot longer because I can control exactly how long I want to make it. So I'm using the Framar Whoopsie Daisy ones, and then I know I ran out of foils at some point and I had to use my checker ones, but I always keep a giant stock of foils. And yeah, I know that the designed ones are more expensive, but I feel like it adds to the experience, and I just personally love having cute foils, so I'll pay the extra dollars. And I don't know, if you want to go buy the giant Costco size box and rip your own foils all day, that is for you. I'm not going to sit around like I'm still in hair school and rip foils all day. I'd rather just pay the money. So I love Framar's foils. I love the texture. I'm not a fan of like a flimsy foil, and they've got a really nice firm texture to them. So that's why I mostly use those ones. And it's pretty much the same texture in the pop-up and in the roll. The only difference is that the pop-up is one size and the roll you can control how much you want. And we are almost through our initial placement, so that is exciting. We are just saturating our really, really tiny sections. And then after this, we are going to go through and hit those roots and check on the mids to ends, because like I was saying, there is a great chance with darker hair like this that it is just not going to lift as light on the mid to ends as it does on the base. All right, and now that that is done, I can just take the camera over here. And you can already see that beautiful platinum on the top, and then we go down and it's like, oh, still dark. So we'll close that right up. And now I like to use these backwards bibs because I just cannot stand mess on the chair and on the cape. So I love these plastic backwards bibs. But I am just gonna start pulling some foils, and I'm checking the hair here and just seeing what it looks like. It still needed some lift in that mid to end. So I'm going through, hitting the roots, and then putting some fresh Lightener where it needs it. And once again, saturating. Because you can really see how beautiful and blonde it is toward the top, and then it's just like yellow still, right toward the end. But like I said, as long as you know this and you are prepared for it, then you can fix it. And putting a little fresh Lightener on top will work wonders. So I'm just hitting those roots and going through the foils and tapping those mid to ends with the fresh Lightener. And you can see I pull it down just a little bit right there so I can expose the root a little bit more, and then block it with my head, but I'm tapping the roots there. So I apparently just really love standing in front of the camera, but I do a better job of not doing that in a minute. So you can come over to this side and I'm doing the exact same thing where I'm lifting those foils, hitting all those roots and checking inside of them. But you can see when I pull each one that I pull it down like that, just a little. Then I can tap that root and I can see exactly where it goes from brown to blonde. And I know that I'm not gonna have any blotchy colors or, spots where I missed and I didn't hit it with lightener. So that's why I like to kind of tug that foil down just a little. And now I'll speed this up and just show you how carefully I'm hitting those roots. Pull down a little. And one thing that I love about Danger Jones Lightener is, I know I've said this before, but the consistency is very sticky. It's like a paste. And so unlike a lot of other powder lighteners that get watery and just slip everywhere, you really have to give a good tug to pull that foil down. So that is unlike any powder lightener I've tried before. I've definitely had cream lighteners where it has that pasty consistency, which is why I love cream lighteners. But this has that great pasty consistency where your foil is not going to move unless you move it. So you never have to really worry about like bleed marks or anything with this lightener. It is incredible. But I'm just hitting any little baby hairs and getting those roots. And you can see how I pull it down just a little and then I tap. And then the same thing on the one on top. I'll pull it up a little, hit the root underneath, and then pull it down. Super simple. And now all of this hair is gonna lighten super quick because it's right next to the scalp. And then that will give us time to work on those mid to ends while this processes. We can put fresh lightener in, start pulling foils, whatever we need to do. That just tapping all of that. You can see how I pull it down a little and then it really just exposes everything so I know exactly what needs to be hit. Last one. And then really make sure all the little baby hairs are out of the way. So I'm clipping those up and now hitting those roots on that last little section. And now that is just gonna process. All right, so now we can make our way back under here. So once again, I am just checking to make sure that everything is covered, saturated, and that we have nice even lift. So as you can see, that kind of base and like the first couple inches down lifted really great. And then we still have a little bit more of that yellow through the mids to ends. So I'm just going to pull these foils, pull that old lightener down, and then I'm going to use some fresh lightener to get that really nice and platinum. Now, if we weren't trying to get white hair, then that would be great for just like a regular blonde, but I want this to be white. So we are going through and really resaturating. And it's nice to open it up, not just to get the fresh lightener on it, but so that I can check on it and see how the integrity of her hair is, since it is my first time doing her hair. Everybody's hair lightens a little bit differently. So especially when it's a first time client, I really like to check on those foils, see how their hair is doing, see how they lift, because I really have to get to know everybody's hair. And this was my first time doing hers. But I am just going through and putting that fresh lightener on those mids to ends and trying to get her as light as we can. And you can see here, oh, so satisfying. I love pulling out the foils. Oh, that feels so good. But you can see I'm pulling all that old lightener off. And then that way I can use the new fresh lightener. And it does look really light, as you can see, but I just want to get it even lighter. I want to try to get it white. So that's why I'm putting that fresh lightener on. Putting my foil on top. And now you guys get to see the raw lift. So we're using the new Danger Jones purple shampoo, and this is the raw lift right here. So beautiful, but I am already in love with this shampoo. I've only had it for a couple weeks and it is so great. So I am pre-toning all of her blonde with this purple shampoo. Whenever I'm doing something that's really icy or silver, I always like to pre-tone. So having a purple shampoo instead of having to do 2 toners is awesome. I'm really loving it. But look at how beautiful that purple shampoo already toned it. I only left it in for a couple minutes and it looks so nice. Gorgeous. But let's get our toner mixed up because we are going to use toner. I'm using the Danger Jones Gloss Toners. So first up was the 901. I did 12 grams of that. This is the 91, brought us up to 24 grams. Nope, 27 grams. There we go. Then 1032. Brought us up to 35, and then I finished it off with some 10-0. I think just 6 grams of that, just to give it a little bit of a neutral. And then it's equal parts developer, and it's a special gloss toner developer that I'm using. And then this part is super easy. We're just gonna mix it up and put it right onto the blonde. And because this is a deposit only toner, I don't have to worry if I get it onto her brown, it's not gonna do anything. But you can already see when I'm not standing in front of the camera that the blonde got really toned by just using that shampoo. So that stuff works amazing. But I am just putting this onto all of her blonde, separating those sections so that you really make sure you hit all the roots, and just saturating. And then this only has to sit in for about 15 minutes. I shampooed this out with the K18 Damage Shield shampoo, and then I used the K18 mask, the K18 volume spray, heat bounce, the K18 oil, and I also used the Leaf and Flower 7-minute blowout and frizz remedy spray. Those are all of my favorite after products for my blowout. I use them all on pretty much every person. So I did not film the blowout, but here is the after. Oh, so gorgeous. I am obsessed with the blonde brown chunky pattern. You can totally see that little block we left out by the ear, and then the one that's underneath in between the two on the bottom. It is just such a cool placement. I love it. When it's up like that, it just looks amazing. It's like a chocolate vanilla swirl. So I took so much video and then I couldn't even pick which ones to not use because I love them all. So there is a ton of after footage in this one for you, but look at how beautiful. It's so healthy. It's exactly like her inspo, so that made me really happy. But I hope everybody enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for joining me for another week and another tutorial. I'm having such a great time putting these out every Monday for you. And I hope you like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything that you would like to see in the future. If you have any questions about something that I've already covered maybe. But I love to hear from you and answer everyone. And one more shot underneath, because can you believe that? It looks so cute. Obsessed. But I will see you next Monday, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.